Hi, in this video I'm going to be talking about zeros and factors. This is the fourth video in this series for today. And basically what I want to do is I want to give you a cheater's way to factor out any kind of equation, okay? And well, at least going to get us started, okay? We're going to learn how to factor completely over the next 3 to 4 school days as we work on problems in class, but this is just your introduction. And the idea is this: if I can graph an equation and figure out where its zeros and roots are. So for instance, if I can take x squared minus x minus 6, and I can simply graph that, and I can figure out that it crosses at -2 and +3. Okay, -2 and +3. So that would be like -2 and +3, and the graph does something like this. I really don't care how low it goes. Okay, then I can actually factor this equation. See, here's what I know. Here's the rule that we need to understand. If any value, like -2 or +3, if that's a zero of the polynomial, then x minus that number is one of the factors when you go to factor it out, because we always want to move towards factored equations. So in other words, because -2 is a root, that means x minus a -2 is one of my factors. Now that's a double negative, so that's going to turn into x plus 2 in just a second. And because 3 is a place where it crosses, that means that x minus 3 is going to be a factor of my equation. Now the nice thing, if you go back to that video about like how many terms and what does that mean about the degree, if it's a second degree equation, then I'm going to expect to see two pieces of information multiplied together to get up to the x squared. And the two pieces of information that I'm going to have are x plus 2 and x minus 3. Now you might be sitting here saying, well, wait a second, I knew how to factor that anyway. And that's great, and that's not the point here. The point is, you won't know how to do that one, right? We can do easy ones. You guys have done x squared minus x minus 6 before. That's a mad minute problem. Two numbers that add up to -1 that multiply to -6. +2, -3. So we've done lots of these, okay? You knew that that was going to be the answer if I asked you to factor it. But whenever we get to harder ones, now we have a cheater's way to go about it. See, if -2 is in there, then x plus 2. X minus a -2 is going to show up. +3, x minus that value. So any value, you take x minus that value and put it in parentheses, and you have one of the factors. So for instance, see this? X cubed, right? And so whenever I go through and I factor, I'm going to expect to see x plus or minus something, x plus or minus something, x plus or minus something. Okay? That's what I'm expecting to see. It'd be really nice if I could get this off the graphing calculator. And so I can. I'm going to go here. I'm going to go x cubed minus 5x squared plus 2x plus 8. And I'm going to graph it. And I'm looking for where it crosses. And if I'm lucky, it crosses in 3 separate locations. And it looks like it does. It looks like at -1, +2, +4. At -1, +2, and +4, it crosses. And our graph looks something like this. It goes up, comes down, goes up. There we go. And so now I know, because -1 showed up, that x minus a -1 is one of my factors. Now that's a double negative, so it's x plus 1. Because 2 showed up as a factor, x minus 2, is a 0, then x minus 2 is a factor. And because 4 came up, x minus 4 is a factor. I just factored out that equation just by graphing. And that's pretty slick. I think that's cool. If you don't believe me, you don't need to keep watching after this, but if you want to see me foil this out to verify the answer, you can stick around. Okay, I'm going to work through it quickly. This would be the answer. I've written it in factored form, so I'm done. Okay, but if I just wanted to check it, what I would do is I would take the first two things and multiply it together. If I look at those two, when I multiply them together, that gives me x squared minus x minus 2. Okay, two numbers, 1 and -2, add up to -1, multiply to -2. I would need to multiply that times x minus 4. If I take these two and I multiply them out, I'm going to distribute the x first. That gives me x cubed minus x squared minus 2x. So I distributed the x out. Now I'm going to distribute the -4. That gives me minus 4x squared plus 4x plus 8. And if I combine like terms, so I've multiplied these two values together to get this. I know I'm moving quickly. You can pause the video. You really don't even need to know how to do this right now. But if I combine like terms, I get the x cubed. There are -5x squareds. -2x and +4x gives me +2x. and then I have that plus 8 off in the end. And we end up with what we started. No coincidence, okay? I want you to understand that is a pretty slick way to factor equations that you didn't know how to factor without a graphing calculator. So hopefully that makes sense. A couple cheaters methods, right? What we're building towards is being able to move from here to a factored equation. That way we can solve for the places that it crosses, okay? And I know it seems all redundant, like, man, I feel like we're doing the same thing over and over again, but hopefully, I mean, that's the idea, is to understand the calculator can do a lot of stuff for us. All right, there we go. See you tomorrow in class.